Good night. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Tonight is Sunday, November 26th, and I'm Rickford here in New York. Share the link, everybody, as usual. If you are watching this program, either on YouTube or Facebook, I'm kind of hoarse. Excuse me. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my page. If you're on Facebook, like or follow me. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Tonight, we have a very, very interesting program, to say the least. Very interesting program. I expect that sometime during the course of this broadcast, we will get complaints on Facebook by the Jagabats saying that we're the usual thing. No, we are promoting violence or hatred or something like that, right? Nothing of the sort. They can't deal with the truth. So tonight, we will prove that Barrett Jagdeo is a liar. We'll prove that Barrett Jagdeo is not fit for public office. We prove that Barrett Jagdeo is a traitor, and his activities have been treasonous. And that he's a liar. I mean, he lies about everything, right? He cannot be trusted. He cannot be trusted to handle matters of the state. He cannot be trusted because everything is a bribe, right? We suspect that he was trying to negotiate with Maduro or Chavez for a bribe to give away part of Guyana. And then he denies it, invents all sorts of things. Is Desmond Hoyt, is this, is that, is the PNC. Not true. I'll prove tonight that it's him with his own words. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Share the link. Let me see. Let me give some people some shout out while you guys share the link. Oh, wow. These comments are flying. I can't see them. Lawrence Stahl, good night. Miss Abrams, Angelique Abrams. Don Clark, good night. Let me know where you guys are watching from. If you guys are watching here from Brooklyn, good night. It's very cold. Well, not that cold, but it's cold. It's kind of cold in Brooklyn tonight. Let me see. What's the temperature? 45 degrees. That's cold. That's cold for me. 45 degrees. Keep sharing the link, everybody. If you're watching me, oh no, sorry. Oh, that was it's updated now. It's 50. So it's kind of cool. If you're watching from the West Coast, good evening. If you're watching from Guyana, good night. It's just about 10 o'clock there. If you're watching from London and the rest of Europe, good morning. If you're watching from Africa or Asia, good morning. As usual, to my friends in the United States military watching from Japan and Germany, good night. And to the troops in Guyana watching from the border in Region 7 and Region 1, good night to you too. We're backing you guys. I'm not sure that we can back the government, but that's just my view. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Share the link. Let me shout out some people. Tell me where you're watching from. Denise Mitchell. Hey, Denise. Brooklyn in the house. Alexis Solomon. Brooklyn in the house. A lot of Brooklyn people here. Good night to you, Candy. Inderjeet. Susan London, good night. Good night, Deborah Seeley. Keith Michael Austin. Did I just see that? Hey. Oh, sorry, not Keith. Keith Anthony Ben. I saw three names. That's why I could always keep Michael Austin. But I'm sure Keith Michael Austin would be watching sometime. Share the link, everybody. Keep sharing this link. Gail Henry, good night from Colorado. Hello, Colorado. Hi, Lauren Saul, good night. Gregory Robertson from Letem. Wow. Letem, let me get some people from Bartica in the house. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Who's from Bartica? Let me see. Who's from Bartica? Wavy Doris, good night. BVI in the house. Daryl. I missed that. I just saw somebody from Barbados. Let me see if I can pull that back. Debbie Pitt from Barbados. Who's from BVI? Daryl Dotson, BVI, good night. So, oh, Noel from Bartica, all right. We want a genuine Bartician. Joy Hopkinson, good night. GT in the house. Listen, a genuine Bartician, all right? Somebody who's actually from Region 7. So all of you guys, if you're in Georgetown, wherever, get on WhatsApp. Let somebody know from Bartica. We're trying to get somebody from Bartica in the house. Region 7 Bartica. I've seen people from Letem. Somebody just said to me, Mabaruma. I just saw Mabaruma. Good night, Mabaruma. Anybody here watching from Region 10? Linden. Let me see Linden in the house. Cariveton, Region 6 is in the house. Good night. Who's from Cariveton there? Candy. Hi, Candy. Good night. How is Region 6? Atlanta in the house. Charlene Jordan. Maryland in the house. Sean Hooper. Deborah Thomas. I didn't see where that person is from. Sorry. Fordyce, Philadelphia. Lennox Fordyce from Philadelphia. Curacao in the house. Keep sharing the link, everybody. We got a lot of people here from all around the world. Oh, Roger, you're not from Bartica. Well, just like me, you're from Bartica, Roger, but I'm asking for somebody in Bartica, living currently in Bartica, viewing currently from Bartica. Y'all cheating this thing. All right, another BVI. Is it? Did I just say Neri Thomas? Good night, BVI. I know a lot of Thomases from BVI. Another Curacao in the house, watching from Texas. Wow, keep sharing the link, everybody. Everybody got your platforms, your social media platforms, email, WhatsApp. Just share this link like wildfire. Let's get a couple of people up in here. Joycelyn, Jennifer, Sister Brenda Casey says she's watching from Pradoville. Welcome. You should go and ring the bell of the man in Pradoville and tell him come. Well, he's probably watching already. He's watching with his notebooks. Bart Jagdeo. Otis from Linden watching. Did I just see someone from Wisconsin? Hold on. Let me pull back this. I think I saw Cayman Islands. Romeo from Cayman Islands. Chiselle from Wisconsin. Yes, I did see that. All right. Rastaman, big up. John Adams. New Jersey in the house. Amanda, Carla Amanda. New Jersey. Atlanta again in the house. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Keep sharing the link. Henry Dauphin from Australia. Melbourne, Australia. Good night. Good. Well, it's morning there. Good Australia. Good day. It's midday there, afternoon in Australia. Watching from Linden. Good night, California. Pauline Chambers, California, the house. Good night. Good night. Share the link, everybody. Share this link. Get on all your social media platforms. Debbie Pitt. You want to be on the best behavior? Me? I'm always best behavior. I'm a good Christian, Debbie. Miss Grillman from Rochester, New York. Big up upstate New York. Tushin in the house. Tamira. Where did that go? Oh, Tamara Corbin. Tushin, good night. Wow. Um, did I see Marvin Garvey just now? Karen from Brooklyn, watching from Cayenne, Miss Jones. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Share the link. All right. So let me go to 60-second break and I'll be back. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Spread the word. Conversation with Rick Furberg is on. I'll be back in 60 seconds. All right. So welcome back to Conversation with Rickford Burke. You guys are indeed sharing the link. All right. So tonight I want to focus on um, a little bit of controversy. Well, it's not controversy. It's just um, propaganda. But by Jagdeo, King Liar, most dangerous criminal in Guyana. Um, literally, there's nobody else with more blood on their hands than Bar Jagdeo. And so since this Venezuela controversy erupted, people have been talking about Bar Jagdeo's efforts, as articulated by he himself, to give Venezuela part of Guyana, was treasonous because Venezuela, as far as people are concerned, harbors ill intent. Right? Keep sharing the link, everybody. For Guyana, they want to take Guyana's territory. And they're greedy because they want to focus on the oil. They want Guyana's oil. And people are saying that, well, it was irresponsible. I'm suffering from some allergies. It was irresponsible for Bar Jagdeo to try to give Venezuela part of Essequibo, excuse me. They're trying, but we're gonna we can go through the show. Um, we might have to take a pause, do we? All right. No, we don't? Okay. Yeah. So people are saying it's treasonous. And it got what exacerbated this angst or this anxiety about Bar Jagdeo's secret dealings behind the door, back door, dark room, just like the Sue bribery, 500,000 US dollars bribery scandal that he was negotiating in his dark basement with Vice News and federal agents. People are beginning to wonder what the hell is this guy doing? Because he was again caught having a meeting, a secret meeting with Venezuelans, promising them that they're going to get ID cards and they'll be able to vote in Guyana and assimilate and become part of the society. And then he lied to them and told them that the opposition didn't like them. And the opposition was spreading xenophobic rhetoric and hatred about Venezuelans. Till one of them came out and made a video attacking the opposition because of what Barry Jagdeo told them. And then what Barry Jagdeo told these people, Venezuelans, ended up in the presentation of the vice president. During her presentation in the International Court of Justice in The Hague. And then he came back and tried to deny it, like, oh, that's not true. Nobody's. He said that. And then the St. Lucian ambassador, Venezuela ambassador in St. Lucia, picked it up and she was sending these little tweets and TikTok videos around the Caribbean saying that Venezuelans are being mistreated in Guyana because of what Barry Jagdeo told them, that these black people in opposition are mistreating you. Like us, vote for us, we will treat you well. We from the PPP. We look like you. Your hair is straight like us. That's how racist they are. Keep channeling. So all of this started to really pressure him. And he started to look like a real treacherous person, traitor, that he's committed treason. He's playing with the country's territorial integrities and sovereignty. So he's like, just like he likes to frame black people and say they're criminals, Burke and Bench Cop, and he's like, okay, we have to come up with a way to deflect this thing from me and say it's the PNC, they're black people. So he started this letter writing campaign. He got this guy, Joel Bagwan, who works in the office of President William, write a letter. Well, Joel Bagwan is confused. He couldn't get his story straight. Then he got Robin Singh, another lackey, a puppet, to write these letters saying that this thing originated from Desmond Hoyt. Everybody's looking in the records of no such proposal from Desmond Hoyt exists. And Robin Singh challenged attorney at law, an international lawyer, Neville December. Well, we know Robinson is not the one writing that. His intellect is not that great. But he's been publishing these letters in Standard News saying that it was Hoyt. The black man, that black president, he is the one that wanted to give away, not me, Barrett. Not me, the African Guyanese president, not me. And so Standard News, and to some extent Kaiser News as well, but Standard News in particular has been facilitating Robin Singh and Joel Bagwan and all of these people's attempt to basically sully Mr. Hoyt's good name. He was a traitor. He wanted to give Venezuela part of Essequibo. How dare Desmond Hoyt keep channeling? Well, Barry Jagdeo himself said that. And I'm going to do a lot of videos tonight. I'm going to do a lot of videos tonight because Barry Jagdeo likes to be a demagogue. And he lies. He lies more than Donald Trump. Everything he says is a lie. He doesn't have the ability to be honest. He's just by nature deceitful. He's just by nature a criminal, a hardcore criminal. So we got to make sure we go to the records because he has oil money now at his disposal. So he can use oil money to disseminate this propaganda and pay people to write these letters to try to smear Desmond Hoyt. That's the crook, right? That's what crooks do. So I'm going to go to this video right now where Barry Jagdeo, is saying this proposal to give Venezuela part of Essequibo, he's calling it a sea lane, And I'm trying to figure out what sense that made, because Venezuela is also bordered by the sea and ocean, right? So I'm not sure what this appeasement is about. But listen to Barry Jagdeo say that it was Desmond Hoyt, not him.
That spoke to a U.S. cable from the U.S. Embassy. It states U.S. Embassy diplomatic cable date 16th June 2006 reported that then President Barrett Jagdeo told the embassy officials that he was told by Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez.
I read the article, because anything to do with borders, wherever they come from, I read the article. So you don't need to read the whole Peeping Tom article. So I saw that article, and I don't want to gloat. I don't want to gloat, because for me, even if it means not speaking much about the issue, once it serves our national interests, I don't mind being criticized. But you've seen the extreme criticisms that I have received. And I don't know if you saw that article. The article basically pointed out that that this off,
if it's a U.S. cable, knowing U.S. interference around the world,
knew who actually did that. So they had to find. You're not dealing with the second issue. All right. So there are two issues mentioned in that article. You asked about the first issue. So I think the Peeping Tom recognized that this issue would be exposed now. So all that they have been making big noise about is not me. It's ACNU who actually did that. So they had to find something to say that Jagdeo is to be blamed. So they said that in a cable I mentioned to the US that came out in WikiLeaks, that in a cable I said that Hugo Chavez came to Guyana and he mentioned that this border issue was an imperialist invention. So the article left it hanging there. So the fact is this accurate? The question is this accurate? Did I say that to the US government? And the answer is yes. What I said to the US was that a secret at that time. So I checked it because I knew this issue would come up. This is what Starbuck News of the 2004 reported. As a young military officer, Hugo Chavez pored over plans to determine the best routes for an invasion of Guyana. Now as president, he says he still studies maps, but now it is to determine what would be the best route for the proposed road link between Guyana and Venezuela. Speaking to parliamentarians and civic leaders at Le Méridien Pegasus Hotel and at a joint press conference he hosted with President Barrett Jagdeo at State House on Thursday evening during his one-day state visit, Chavez laid much of the blame for the historic tensions between Caracas and Georgetown on the United States. Chavez said the US fomented strife between Guyana and Venezuela so as to divide them and push them into an armed conflict. He said it was a very similar strategy to that of arming ousted Iraqi President Saddam Hussein, which sparked a 10-year war between Iran and Iraq. That was the imperialist plan, which created great business because since then Venezuela has been in debt because of its heavy expenditure on military equipment, much of which was obsolete and obtained from North America. He went on to recall that the possibility in the 60s of Guyana becoming another Cuba was used to whip up antagonism in the Venezuelan military. So this is what he was saying, that at that time, the US was worried about Guyana becoming a second Cuba, and therefore Venezuela was urged to reopen the border question in 1962. That should Guyana become a second Cuba, because 1959 Fidel Castro came into office, that Venezuela would have invaded and reversed the process. So it was an imperialist invention. This is not a secret what I said to the US. In fact, it was in the public domain. He said this publicly. And this is what we've been saying, that Venezuela is retreating. Maduro is retreating from what Chavez said, that it was an imperialist intervention. And that if he is a disciple of Chavez, Hugo Chavez, then he should really be following what Chavez claimed, which was an imperialist intervention. And secondly, if they claim they're disciples of Simon Bolivar was fighting imperialist powers, not small countries, not small independent countries. So anyhow, let me don't get divert into that. So the question is, was that said to the US? And the answer is yes. Was it a secret position? The answer is no. It was reported since then in the media that Chavez actually said this. So that's the first part of the article. The second part of that I was addressing, that's the same peeping Tom, is that I explained to you that what bench cop, all the madcaps in this country, Rickford Burke, Sherrod Duncan, some members of the PNC, Lincoln Lewis wrote several letters to the Stabroek News claiming I must be investigated, I must be tried for treason, they must debate my statement in Parliament about that I offered Venezuela this channel into the Atlantic. Are they going to now say it was treasonous because this offer was made in 1990, long before the PPP got into office, and it's now documented on page 88 of the Venezuelan memorandum to the ICJ that was submitted in March 2018. What are they going to do now?
So there was Jagdeo. He gave this whole long preamble and try to use irrelevant information about the WikiLeaks cable. The cable had nothing to do with that, but I left that whole clip to give it context. Now, Jagdeo is basically saying that me, Mark Benchcop, Lincoln Lewis, and some members of parliament from the PNC who have said that his proposal that he has been floating is treasonous. We must apologize to him now, because Peeping Tom wrote some articles saying that it was the PNC. So let me tell you what Jagdeo did there. Jagdeo set up Peeping Tom to write this article. Then he set up critics to ask the question because he had the documents. He's like, hey, I know you all was going to ask this question. So I got the documents here. Went and got some Stabroek News article that backed up that Chavez says that this Venezuela border controversy was an invention of America. But the article, as I explained in a previous program, the article and what Chavez says has nothing to do with proving it was not Jagdeo who did that, who made that proposal. I submit to everybody listening to this program now in all of Guyana, it was Jagdeo who made that proposal, not Desmond Hoyt. And he did something even more treasonous than making that proposal. which is what I will prove tonight. Now, Bart Jagdeo is feeling the heat because indeed trying to appease Venezuela by giving Venezuela part of Essequibo is treasonous. Something like that should be discussed broadly throughout the country. Civil society, youth, women, parliament should debate it and approve it. It was Bart Jagdeo. Bart Jagdeo and his little cabal discussing the future of Guyana and whether or not they can sever territory from Guyana without a referendum or without anything. Bart Jagdeo thinks he owns this country. Keep sharing the link. Now, because we're criticizing him, as I said, he started this campaign. So he got Robin Singh, his minion, his puppet, to write a series of articles, which I will show you. A series of articles saying it's Desmond Hoyt. First article. Here is Robin Singh. Ownership of the sea lane proposition resides in the Hoyt administration, not with me. He's claiming that because Devil December, who was the legal officer in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, responded to his letter writing campaign in the Star News Against, in defense of Bart Jagdeo, saying that it's the Hoyt administration. And December's like, no, wait, that's not true. There's no such proposal. I was there. So let me read the relevant part of this letter. He said, existing legal basis of that. He said, it seems I'm the proud new owner of the sea lane proposition, gifted by Neville Bessembe, he's trying to be facetious, who purports ignorance of the Hoyt administration's original offer through our good officer Barton Scotland, CCH, in 1990. That's what Bart Jagdeo's representative, Robin Singh, said. All right. Then he said it again. He said it again. He wrote a different letter now. Let me go to that one. Nobody can say we're making up anything tonight, like the PPP. They make up stuff to attack people. We don't have to make it up. He wrote another article. He said, let's learn more. The article says, let's learn more about this sea lane offer. This is Robin Singh, Bart Jagdeo's representative, that Starbuck News is facilitating. He talked about Rohi jumping into the thing. Then he said, he going on about Barnum, and the PNC the PPP like to talk about Barnum. Again, he talks about Barton Scotland. Then he concludes by saying, I believe that it is now a firm fact that the sea lane offer came from the Hoyt administration, and it provides a good opportunity for many to do a self-test of integrity and possible racism. It is not racism that Bart Jagdeo, Starbuck News, and Robinson trying to blame the Black president Desmond Hoyt, right? by asking themselves if the knowledge that the offer originated from Hoyt and not Jagdeo has changed it from treasonous to something more benign. Right? They're trying to convince the public that this offer was made by Desmond Hoyt. Notice he kept saying in 1990. Now let's go to Jagdeo's second minion, which is Joel Bagwan. Bagwan works in office of the president. He wrote a second letter, right, on behalf of Bart Jagdeo. Let's see what Bagwan says. Bagwan says, we are being irresponsible. Right? You see his name there? Joel Bagwan. Bagwan did. We are being irresponsible. He said the past APN leadership should be condemned because we're condemning Jagdeo for this sea lane offer. Then he says here, for a long time, certain elements affiliated with the opposition have always attempted to consistently politicize this issue by casting a series of unfounded aspersions on General Secretary of the PPP and Vice President Dr. Barry Jagdeo, accusing him of making proposals to give part of Guyana's territory to Venezuela. Conversely, evidence recently surfaced in the public domain which contradicted that notion and vindicated the vice president. In this regard, those proposals were made since 1977 under the PNC government. So now it's gone, it's shifted, right? They're really trying hard to find somebody to blame in the PNC. So Joel Bagwan then says, it was the PNC in 1977. They can't present these offers. Everything should be in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in the library, wherever, under the minister's desk, in the minister's desk. Everybody. They're trying to find, they're fishing. They're fishing. Bagwan, he confused. He's young, kind of smart guy. He doesn't have his facts right. But this is Barrett throwing out everything to try to blame the PNC. Now, remember Bagwan said it was 1977. Then, if it's 1977, it gotta be boredom. Hey, one of these black guys, either Burnham or White. Robin Singh says it's 1990. Nobody knows about that. Neville December, who was in the ministry in 1990, said he doesn't know about that. He was a legal officer. So he would have been participating in these negotiations, these discussions, probably drafting this offer, right? But then Jagdeo held a press conference on the 24th of October in 2015. Let's go to that press conference. And so he's responding to Gordon Mosley and Dennis Chevron, two journalists, about this proposal. And that's when he was responding to the speech President Granger made. The APNU AFC government was in power. And he was responding to the speech that President Granger made in Parliament, announcing that he's going to go the judicial route. They're going to go to the International Court of Justice to have this matter resolved. So here's Barry Jagdeo responding to a series of questions from Gordon Mosley and Dennis Chevron. First it was Dennis and then Gordon Mosley.
All right. So, but they can't claim that. There is a fear now. Like today, I heard that there were a number of people hired at GRA for the enforcement department. And check.
Sorry.
a point I would have liked to ask the government, since if we had had this opportunity to talk privately with the border committee, that when they met with the UN and with the Secretary General, did he say, first of all, that the juridical option is one of the options available to them to recommend to us? That is what I'm asking. Is this something emanating from the UN? Can it emanate from the UN? Or is it something that Guyana is putting up by itself, regardless of whether it's part of a UN menu or not? Is it our suggestion to them, or does this emanate from the United Nations team itself? And if it did not come from them, to ask them a further question whether that is part of something that would allow them, if we decide to go this route, can the UN still be involved in the process?
So what do you mean when you say, my understanding is that no, it is not available?
That, ah,
When you said, when he
that is my understanding, but I would like to find out when the meeting with that the president had and the ministers had with the UN team, what did the UN say? Because my understanding now at this point in time is immaterial if the United Nations says, yes, it's part of our menu and we are recommending this. Then we are, then that's clear to me. It gives me a clear answer.
but Jagdeo's understanding is that no.
At the point, yes, at this point in time, but I just want clarification on that. That is what I'm saying.
Point of clarity, under the PPP, 5 options were explored. At that
No,
time,
no, no, no. These are 5 options that I know of. Explore. This is why border issues are sensitive. I can't just say explored because it meant with them. These are issues that we discussed that I am aware of as Jagdeo. What we sought, we had a good officers process in action. So the good officers process, all of our business on the border was conducted through the good officers and then through our foreign ministers. The last thing we left with when we left is that Venezuela promised to submit to us from my briefing from Caroline Rodriguez is to restart the good officers process, but to put a time limit to how long they will work for. And then if we do not succeed in making progress and that time elapses, then we will move together to explore other options. So we had not explored any of these options excepting through the good officers process, the discussion. So there wasn't been a formal proposal from the government of Guyana. Like now, there is a formal proposal, to the UN that we go the juridical route.
and the only difference between now and then is that you are more involved.
Yeah.
Your clarification. Then Foreign Minister Rodriguez had said on the record that the government is going to go the juridical route.
Mhm.
So then how does that correlate with what you're saying?
It is one of the options. We had not exhausted the good officers process. So if you're still in the good officers process, you can't be in the juridical route at the same time.
That was my clarification.
Mhm.
If there was an indication that we would go to, we're still in the good offices process. There was no active move to deal with a juridical settlement.
Yes.
Now the UN is actively involved. It's different. It's a different scenario from then.
Yeah, totally. That's why I'm saying there are lots of things we consider. When you're in government, you have to consider everything. But what you put forward is important because that is on the table. What was on the table, as far as I'm aware, is the last position. And so this is my big concern, is to keep the United Nations involved, even if you go the juridical route. It's not a question, I'm not questioning the juridical route. I'm saying we need to keep the United Nations involved at all costs. So it is clear. Yeah.
Mr. Jagdeo, sir,
Yeah.
President Granger had indicated that the government is already looking at to get a legal team, and that just because they're having these UN talks, it does not prevent the government from looking at its options and still moving along the juridical route. So your thoughts about that, sir? And could you also say when Ms. Rodriguez Burkett was foreign minister, one of her last statements was that we have exhausted the good officers process. It was at a standstill, not going anywhere. So could you then say what would a PPP government today be doing with what Venezuela is now throwing at us?
Well, we gather that there are several other options available to the Secretary General. So if I don't want to say much about the options, but let me tell you, I'm in a very difficult position. But there were other options that involve a negotiated settlement, which did not see any land concession, that the 1899 award would remain intact. But there was one view, let me say it as a view, that you could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area, but make sure that you do not concede any territory that is land-based, because the maritime boundaries still are yet to be determined. And so there was that option that was floating out. I do not want to speculate. There are several options between the good officers and juridical. There are several other options. I am not saying the juridical option is bad. I'm saying if we decide as a country to go this route, can we go it alone? What if Venezuela does not want to go this route? So that's the first question that is asked. It should be asked. Could Guyana unilaterally go the juridical route, or do we have to get Venezuela's agreement?
That point there doesn't make any sense. And this is how you know he's disingenuous. I'll come back to the other comments he's made. Why would he ask if Guyana needs Venezuela's approval or agreement to go to the International Court of Justice when Venezuela is an original member of the court? The court was established in June 1945, and Venezuela was an original signatory to the court. So if both Guyana and Venezuela are signatories to the International Court of Justice Charter, why are we concerned if they agree? That's why the court ruled that they have jurisdiction, because both parties are part of the court. But let him finish off what he's saying there.
Secondly, if we go the juridical route, will it be a suggestion that comes out of the menu that is available to the UN, a suggestion that comes from the UN itself? Or will it mean us losing the UN because they would say, this option is not provided for by our charter? These are two issues. I'm not questioning the
All right. Now, so let me tell you this. Notice Bar Jagdeo said, we looked at this proposal to give Venezuela a channel out of sea. He never said it was proposed by the PNC. He never said it was proposed. He said, in fact, he confirmed it wasn't proposed because he said this was never formally proposed. And to confirm that he's correct, he also says you can't make any other proposal about going the juridical route because you had the good officer process. So the good officer process started since 1966 and has been extended. You had Sir Alistair McIntyre and all this, all the way, right? You had the good officer process. So how can the PNC, Jagdeo is arguing here, that you cannot entertain a negotiated settlement while the good officer process is ongoing. And we know that the good officer process started from 1966 and it came all the way to I think when the Granger administration was in power. And when that process ended, the Granger administration and the PPP agreed that the process didn't yield any result. So Granger said, okay, we will go the juridical route, which is we will go before the International Court of Justice for a final and permanent determination that this 1899 agreement settling our borders was final. And there's no dispute. So that's where Bart Jagdeo is tying up himself. He's making several arguments here himself that is proving that the PNC could not have made any proposal because he's saying that was the good officer process and this is a negotiated settlement. This part here would be required, and he doesn't know if the UN would be part of that. So let me recap that. He's claiming it's a view. He's claiming no proposal was ever submitted, either by the PNC government or by his government. Because if that was so, he would have said, yeah, there was a formal proposal. He categorically said, this was never proposed. Then he said, you can't make that proposal while the good officer process is ongoing. He said that. And as I said, the good officer process ran from 1966 to 2015, I think, when the APNU government came into power. But beyond that, there's more. This is Barrett Jagdeo definitively. Now, he is such a megalomaniac. He likes to talk about I, me, Barrett, I powerful. Definitively now. Let's say you're still confused about who really made this process, made this proposal to give away part of Essequibo. Here is your definitive answer, my friends. Barrett Jagdeo in his own words.
Route we wanted to go in both borders with Suriname and Venezuela. I would have liked to raise some concerns with the government, and that route he had spoken about was the juridical route. But because the promise committee that the president had said he will set up, and I heard them saying, I didn't formally indicate that I'm willing to participate, but I've spoken no less than 20 times about our willingness to participate in a committee of that nature. So I lamented the fact that in the absence of that committee, I was forced to raise some issues publicly that I would have liked to raise in the committee and to seek clarification on them. What I did was I raised rhetorical issues because I had considered, I'd been president for over 12 years. We had explored, in fact, I should say I have explored several options internally. And for those who think, because you have some people now who think you shouldn't explore things even internally, well, let me say to them that I was never that sort of president. And I will never be that sort of opposition leader. I believe in doing homework. I believe in studying every single thing available to us I took the time and effort to do that, options available to us, but without making a determination as to which one will be formally put at the negotiating table. But a president needs to know all the solutions available
Yes.
to his country and to look through them from the perspective of advantages and disadvantages. So we had done that. In fact, I had done that. And so I said one of the options that there was a view that we studied internally was, should we give this a channel to Venezuela and to the Atlantic without compromising the 1899 award? So no change, no compromise on the land territory. This was one of the views, not that we proposed it, offered it, that I studied. The argument in favor of that was that it keeps intact the 1899 award. So that award is sacred, it keeps it intact.
Yes.
Since we have not demarcated the maritime boundary with Venezuela as yet, and Venezuela is not part of the International Treaty on the Law of the Sea, that at some point in time, even if we settle through the juridical route the land issue and we may keep the 1899 award intact, we'd still have to come back to the table to demarcate the maritime boundary,
Yes.
like we had to do with Suriname. So this.
All right. So you hear him there. You heard him. He said we, the PPP government. Not then he said no, not we. I'm not sure if you guys got that, but I want to. That's so important. I want to play it again because he did not say the PNC government proposed it. He did not say this proposal was made in 1990. He did not say this proposal was made in 1977. He again in this video said it was never submitted. No formal proposal was ever made. He never said this same proposal was made by President Burnham in 1977 or President Hoyt in 1990. And so I studied it again and intended to formally present it again. He said, no. He said, I studied it. It was never presented. Let's hear him again.
Route we wanted to go in both borders with Suriname and Venezuela. I would have liked to raise some concerns with the government, and that route he had spoken about was the juridical route. But because the promise committee that the president had said he will set up, and I heard them saying, I didn't formally indicate that I'm willing to participate, but I've spoken no less than 20 times about our willingness to participate in a committee of that nature. So I lamented the fact that in the absence of that committee, I was forced to raise some issues publicly that I would have liked to raise in the committee and to seek clarification on them. What I did was I raised rhetorical issues because I had considered, I'd been president for over 12 years. We had explored, in fact, I should say I have explored several options internally. And for those who think, because you have some people now who think you shouldn't explore things even.
Not we, I explored those options. That's what Jagdeo said. I explored the option of giving Venezuela part of Essequibo to create a channel out at sea. And hear why he's telling the truth. He's complaining that since this is 2015, that interview was 2015, he's complaining that he's being criticized about it, and people should understand that as president, you must study all the options. I agree with that. But audit. Audit in 2023. Don't now push back because Venezuela is trying to start a war with Guyana over the same territory, and now you're vulnerable because you committed treason. You planning to give away by yourself part of our country. Now you want to shift it to the PNC. Why did he say then, right there, that, hey, why y'all criticizing me? It was the PNC idea. He didn't say that. He said, no, it was me. Let's hear it again.
Route we wanted to go in both borders with Suriname and Venezuela. I would have liked to raise some concerns with the government, and that route he had spoken about was the juridical route. But because the promise committee that the president had said he will set up, and I heard them saying, I didn't formally indicate that I'm willing to participate, but I've spoken no less than 20 times about our willingness to participate in a committee of that nature. So I lamented the fact that in the absence of that committee, I was forced to raise some issues publicly that I would have liked to raise in the committee and to seek clarification on them. What I did was I raised rhetorical issues because I had considered, I'd been president for over 12 years. We had explored, in fact, I should say I have explored several options internally. And for those who think, because you have some people now who think you shouldn't explore things even internally, well, let me say to them that I was never that sort of president. And I will never be that sort of opposition leader. I believe in doing homework. I believe in studying every single thing available to us. I took the time and effort to do that, options available to us, but without making a determination as to which one will be formally put at the negotiating table. But a president needs to know all the solutions available to his country, and to look through them from the perspective of advantages and disadvantages. So we had done that. In fact, I had done that. And so I said one of the options that there was a view that we studied internally was, should we give this a channel to Venezuela and to the Atlantic without compromising?
Barrett Jagdeo was the culprit. He's admitting it. He's saying, as a matter of fact, now I did it. This megalomaniac, me, I did that. But he is, again, lying there about whether this proposal was made. He's saying it was studied internally. It wasn't only studied internally. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's why I keep saying this man is treasonous. Here's why. Let us go back to the press conference. That press conference he had in October. And let us listen to what he said.
Was the issue where a number of persons received house lots of missile. Among some of those were politicians.
Nor at the press conference. Come out in the public domain, and I hope that you call them and ask them about this. This is a disgusting thing they've been going on. Are they going to try the people now for treason? That they have been pushing to try them for treason, for making that proposal? Would they try that, the persons who make that for treason, make political issues on matters of national significance, which I've stayed away from. Why do you think I stay quiet on a lot of these issues? Why do you think? Not that I can't respond to these madcaps, but this is the position. I don't toy with issues of borders and boundaries, etc. But now that it has come out, the whole world would know. It's in a Peeping Tom article. It's come out now, so that's why I'm speaking today about it. But it has now come out in the public domain. And I hope that you call them and ask them about this. This is a disgusting thing they've been going on. Are they going to try the people now for treason? That they have been pushing to try them for treason, for making that proposal. Would they try that, the persons who make that for treason? Would they debate it in Parliament now? This is the vilification. And you wonder why I didn't want to speak in the Parliament.
Just two more.
So I hope that the press conference, I said I'm aware that there was a position in the government. But that doesn't weaken our case. That doesn't weaken our case. And we all support the 1899 award as the final settlement to the border matter. 1899 award. But now I want to see, do they owe me an apology? These madcaps will never apologize. For months now, they've been running this campaign against me. The madcaps and people like Amanza Walton and all of these in Parliament. When I was in Parliament the day, they were heckling about Channel. They were heckling about Channel. Well, now that they have it in black and white, what are they going to do now with the new people? They put their foot in. He said this publicly. And this is what we, not small countries, not small independent countries. So anyhow, let me don't get divert into that. So the question is, was that said to the US? And the answer is yes. Was it a secret position? The answer is no. It was reported since then in the media that Chavez actually said this. So that's the first part of the article. The second part of that I was addressing, that's the same Peeping Tom, is that and I explained to you that what bench cup, all the madcaps in this country, Rickford Burke, Sherrod Duncan, some members of the PNC, Lincoln Lewis wrote several letters to the Stabroek News claiming I must be investigated, I must be tried for treason, they must debate my statement in Parliament about that I offered Venezuela this channel into the Atlantic. Are they going to now say it was treasonous because this offer was made in 1990, long before the PPP got into office, and it's now documented on page 88 of the Venezuelan memorandum to the ICJ that was submitted in March 2018. What are they going to do now? Now, that doesn't preclude our national position. It never, because that was a discussion. And that's what I said when I was asked at the press conference. I said, I'm aware that there was a position in the government.
We now know that's a lie. It's not a position in the government. Barrett Jagdeo just admitted that he and he alone had that position. But here is the thing. Barrett Jagdeo just used the Venezuelan argument against Guyana at the international court to validate his claim. Jagdeo said, so let us go to page 88. He just said it. It is in black and white. He didn't pull out nothing from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. No. He didn't say, well, I get this from Rashley Jackson's library. You thought the foreign minister sent me this. Carlene Rodriguez Burkett sent me this. We got this from the files at Foreign Affairs. Nothing. He is using traitor. He is, as we got, he said traitor. But he is using Venezuela's argument. Right? Let us see what Venezuela said in this black and white that he says vindicates him. Let's see what Venezuela says. Let me go to I'm having a difficulty pulling it up. Let me try again. Let me try this again. I want you guys to see. I can see it, but I'm not getting it up here. So let's see. Again, what is this Venezuelan claim? All right, so I think I see something here now. Let me see. Oh, I have to download it. Okay, I see. I'm not sure why it's not coming up on the screen there. But so let me read what Venezuela says. Venezuela says, Guyana claims that during the period, Venezuela launched intimidation campaigns and did not take initiatives aimed at meeting the objectives of the protocol mentioned above. This is not correct. High-level contacts took place during the period, and the representative of Guyana presented proposals for a practical settlement that included the transfer of important portions of territory southwest of Punta Playa. I guess that's part of Venezuela. Remember, Barrett Jagdeo told us that no proposal was ever made. We know that the PNC couldn't make any proposals because the good officer process was going on. Venezuela, in this submission, didn't say that these proposals were made through the good officer process. It was not. They said Guyana presented proposals. Representatives of Guyana presented proposals. I wish I could get this on here. Let me try again. Representatives of Guyana presented proposals. I'm going to get it on. I'm going to find a way to get it on so that you guys could read with me. Let me remove this. This is important. So let me see how best I could get this on here. While you guys work on that. So Jagdeo said it was a view, no proposal was made. He made no reference to a prior proposal. And he could not make any reference to a prior proposal because he said the good officer process does not facilitate that. So who made this proposal? The idea didn't come from the PNC. He just admitted that it was his idea. He explored it. Him, me, not we, I, not the PNC, not Desmond Hoyt, not 1990, not 1977. I, Barrett Jagdeo, when I was president for 12 years, from 1999 to 2010, I explored that. My idea, not we, me. And nowhere, absolutely nowhere, in this, you got it? Absolutely nowhere in this Venezuelan document that he's using, claiming that it was a Hoyt proposal, did they say it was made in 1990? Let's see. You have it? Let's see. We're gonna work on that. It's not just get the part where that deals specifically with that, and we'll show it to the audience. So nowhere in that Venezuelan claim, right? Nowhere in that claim is anything about this document was submitted in 1990. It is Barrett Jagdeo who's creating that to try to absorb himself from being a traitor. Let us see if we can. I'm doing a bit of editing here as we go on here. I'm determined that you guys must see this thing. So let's see. I'll try to put it on here. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. But again, nowhere in this Venezuelan document, I think it's embarrassing enough that he's using Venezuela's argument against his own country to give validity to a claim that he's making that makes no sense. Venezuela could say anything. Venezuela could say anything, right? And we saw that Venezuela's been saying anything. But I am saying that this proposal that Venezuela is talking about, that Barrett Jagdeo is referring to, it does not have a date. Nowhere in this proposal is Venezuela saying that this proposal was made in 1990. And my contention is Barrett Jagdeo did commit treason. My contention is Barrett Jagdeo is the one that submitted this to the Venezuelans. Who else did? He admitted that it was his proposal. We know it was not proposed in 1960, between 1966 and 1992 when the PNC was in power. It was not. Barrett Jagdeo said that. He said it was him who studied that. Barrett Jagdeo is the vice president of Guyana currently, unlawfully, I believe. Nobody's tested that in the court. But if Jagdeo is the vice president and he's complaining since 2015, as a matter of fact, in 2015, he was saying they're criticizing me because I was president and I consider all these options. He never said why they didn't criticize their people then. Now he's doing that because he's feeling the brunt, because Venezuela is actually trying to start a war and he's looking treasonous. He did not say that at the press conference when he answered Dennis Chabral, the young lady, and Gordon Mosley. Right? He never said it was Hoyt. And let me say this, he's the vice president. He doesn't have to go to Venezuela to get this little paragraph on page 88 of their submissions. He could easily call up the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Todd, send me the Hoyt proposal from 1990. Todd, send me the 1977 proposal. Well, we know 1977 is out of the water because he said 1990 and his main clown puppet, Robinson, said it was 1990. So where is the Barrett? Where is it? Why is that you have to go to Venezuela's argument against your own country to validate your argument, your contention. Call up Utah at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and find this proposal. But if you present that proposal, it might have your name on it, right? Because we know that it was not the PNC. You confirmed that. You said, Barra Jagdeo, you said in that video that it was your proposal. I. That's why. Could somebody in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs leak this proposal? Because it was made. It was made. It is in Venezuela's. It was in Venezuela. Let's see if we could get it again. It was in Venezuela's submission to the ICJ. It was made. Who made it? Barra Jagdeo admitted it. He said it was his proposal. He was president after Hoyt. So Hoyt can't present something in the future, right? No. Hoyt left office in 2002. Barra Jagdeo became president in 1999. Sorry, Hoyt left the presidency in 1992. Let me correct that. Hoyt left the presidency in 1992. Barra Jagdeo became president long after that, in 1999. He just said it was Chetty Jagan who was president before him. He just said it was Sam Hines. He just said it was Janet Jagan. He said it was him as president. Him, me. Let's see if we could really get this proposal so that you guys could see it on your screens. Sorry, not the proposal, the Venezuelan statement on page 88 of their submission. So that's it. We're gonna try to get it. It's expanded too much. So we'll get it though. Here's my thing. Barra Jagdeo made this proposal to the Venezuelans without telling the nation, without going to parliament, because where else it came from? There's no documentation. There's no documentation. Nobody from the PNC has said they made the proposal. Nobody from the PNC has said they made a proposal. Neville December, the attorney at the time in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said no such proposal was made. So it seems as though Barra Jagdeo was in some back room with either Maduro or Chavez and made this proposal without informing the Guyanese people, without debating it in parliament, without consultation with the whole country. He made this proposal. I am willing to say, if Barra Jagdeo can get me this proposal that he's talking about, that was made by the PNC, if the Ministry of Foreign Affairs can not go and bring up some fake document that they just created last night, I will be willing to say, no, it was not him. It was the PNC. But I want to see the proof of that. Right now, it is Barrett who made this proposal, and it was treasonous because it was done in secret, apparently. It was done in secret. And they came to power. They took over from Desmond Hoyt. They took over the foreign ministry from Cedric Grant and Rashley Jackson. He could have easily said, when we took over, there was this proposal on the table. He claims it was through the good officer. That's not what Venezuela said in their submission. It says Guyana representatives. Guyana's representatives, not the good officer. So who was the Guyanese representatives that made this proposal to Venezuela that only Barra Jagdeo knows about? That Barra Jagdeo admitted that I am the one who did it. Barrett, if you really want to prove this, pick up the phone from the minister and call the Minister of Foreign Affairs and ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs for this proposal and present it to the press. There's nothing to hide. You just said there's nothing to hide anymore. It's out in the press. We have a larger problem here. This man, who we know likes to collect bribes, has been negotiating our country's future, our territory, by himself, making proposals to the Venezuelans to give away our country. Isn't that treasonous? Isn't that treason? Isn't he a traitor? How can we? And then he's lying. He is so mendacious. He is so mendacious. How could we trust this guy with our country? How could we trust him with the gas to shore project? How could we trust that when he comes to us and says, well, this gas to shore project costs 300 billion Guyana dollars or 3 billion US dollars? How could we trust that that is so? How could we trust that when he was making this negotiation with Chavez or whoever, that he wasn't arranging to get a couple $2 billion in bribes? That's a reasonable possibility. He likes to collect bribes. He was caught in his basement or wherever in his house, speaking with people who posed them as investors, presented themselves as investors to invest in the country. He didn't say, meet me at the office of the president, meet me at the Ministry of Natural Resources, meet me at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for a meeting. No, meet me at my house. And then Sue, who's totally disconnected from the government, he's a private citizen, is in his house negotiating for a company to invest in Guyana, a private citizen. And then Barry Jagdeo, the vice president of the country, says, yeah, talk to Sue, give him the bribe, which they call a service fee. He has the full support. He gets whatever he wants. Who is Sue? The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Natural Resources? No. Is he the permanent secretary in the Office of the President? No. Is Sue the permanent secretary or the director of investment for Go Invest? No. Is he the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? No. Who is Sue? A private citizen who Bart Jagdeo says is a tenant in my house. He rents one of his houses to Sue. And Sue is in his house with investors negotiating for an investment in Guyana, multi-billion-dollar investment, but you got to first pay Sue 500,000 US, which he says is for Barrett. So, if he is negotiating with Chavez to give them part of Essequibo, a channel out of, I mean, that's super important to Venezuela. That's billions of dollars. Was he going to get a bribe? I believe so. He's corrupt. He's corrupt. Now, I want to see what they will come up with tomorrow. They're going to go back to Starbuck News, who facilitates their assault on these black leaders. Is somebody in Guyana going to examine what Barry Jagdeo tried to do here? To give away our country, sell out Guyana to Venezuela without any consultation. He claims that it was just discussions. We know it was not just discussions because Barrett just told us it is in the submissions by Venezuela to the International Court against Guyana. So who submitted it? We don't know. But we know he said it was his idea. Wasn't Desmond Hoyt's idea? Desmond Hoyt wasn't president after 1992. The PPP was in power from 1992. Barry Jagdeo became president in 1999. Maybe Venezuela could tell. And I noticed something. You notice Maduro doesn't curse out Barrett. he always cursing out Ali? I wonder why. I wonder if it's because Barry Jagdeo and him had discussed this channel and they also discussed the bribe. I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Why doesn't Maduro attack Barrett? I'm just asking questions. Who submitted this proposal to Venezuela? How did Barrett Jagdeo's proposal that he said, I am the one who discussed this, who presented it to the Venezuelans? How did it find its way in the Venezuelan submissions? How did Barrett Jagdeo know it was in the submissions? Because he gave it to them. And what is most treasonous as well is that Barrett Jagdeo is using that to prove his point in Guyana. He's saying, yeah, this is fact. Yeah, verified, authenticated, black and white fact, because it is in page 88 of Venezuelan submissions. Not the court ruling, not some independent Venezuela, not the Ministry of Foreign Affairs records. Venezuela's argument against Guyana, Barrett Jagdeo is using to validate his point so as to absolve himself from criticism. Yeah, he's using Venezuela's arguments against us. No wonder he's in cahoots with the Venezuelans in a secret meeting at the Autotron Convention Center. No wonder the Venezuelans are coming because they said Barrett Jagdeo, promised to give them jobs and ID cards, and they can live in Guyana comfortably, and they can teach Spanish in schools, and the ballot papers would be in Spanish, and the police vehicles would also be in Spanish. And then he's meeting with Venezuelan agents and government operatives. And one of them came out and said, vote in the referendum in Venezuela on December 3rd, because Essequibo belongs to Venezuela. And Barrett Jagdeo, just sat with that person in a meeting telling them, yeah, come to Guyana. And then I notice now that the president is saying that female Venezuelan agents, intelligence officers from the army, are coming into Guyana. And Barrett Jagdeo and other members of the PPP are huddling these people. The people have infiltrated the entire country. The people have infiltrated the entire PPP government. They have photographs with Barrett Jagdeo. They're in videos with Barrett Jagdeo. They put their political interest above the national interest, and now the entire nation is paying a price. They have now made the work of the Ghanaian Defense Force so much more harder, because the people have agents all over Guyana. They have a Venezuelan working at NCN doing propaganda for the Venezuelans on behalf of the PPP, who is probably an agent of the Venezuelan government. And you know what? They have the Venezuelans working on the bases, the GDF bases, doing construction. And the president is complaining that Venezuelan agents, particularly women, have infiltrated Guyana. What party that has committed this level of treason is worthy of running a country? What vice president who undeniably committed treason, undeniably is a traitor, undeniably is a criminal, why is he still in public office? He had their squads that killed people. Nothing happened. Now he's giving away the country to a foreign country, an enemy, a sworn enemy, who wants to come and create war and kill Guyanese for part of our land. He is in bed with them, negotiating to give them part of our land. And now he wants to say it was the PNC. He's a traitor. His activities have been treasonous. He should be forced to leave public office. We can't trust him. He's a disgrace to our country. Thank you for watching. Good night. you.